Did you actually know that in Stephen King's The Mist movie, they actually used a 1968 Toyota Land Cruiser J55? However, in the book, the car was an international scout. According to what David said in the movie, the car was actually a Land Cruiser. The Land Cruiser was used in the Mist movie because the Land Cruiser was heavily equipped with body modifications, such as having a bash bar mounted onto the front, a winch, fog lights
Hello?
on the bumper and the roof, and including one on the side front of the Land Cruiser. However, the car in the book was only an international scout. If you happen to notice by now, the Land Cruiser was probably the most important piece in the movie because in that movie, the Land Cruiser drove about half miles through the mist and it broke down after running out of gas. However, if you look closely to the book, the Land Cruiser kept going until they suddenly stopped for a while to bunker down in a Howard Johnson motel. The Land Cruiser J55 was probably the most common character that was actually used for the mist because it was the only character who didn't get attacked by the monsters, and in fact, it survived worse situations than just this. And in fact, the Land Cruiser was probably the perfect choice for the movie character. If you happen to take a closer look, while in the movie, driving through the mist in the Land Cruiser was probably essential because, due to its off road ruggedness, no creature could basically understand where the Land Cruiser is because it was covered in the mist. The Land Cruiser in the mist was probably one of the most iconic characters that went down in Land Cruiser movie history. And in fact, this was probably the most jaw-dropping moments that was ever found in the mist. According to what David said, the Land Cruiser could fit 8 people, but this is likely false because the Land Cruiser 55 used in the movie was only a 5-seater. Although technically a Land Cruiser would fit more occupants if it had more seats, but unfortunately the 55 series Land Cruiser used in the Mist was not actually a 1967 model but was set in mid 1960s, which is likely 1968.